Hey everyone, it's the 2x4 Chef. I'm back. And today I am going to make you one of my simple favorite things in the world as well. It's called guacamole. Guacamole is rapidly available everywhere. And people make it now and sell it in your major food markets. You can go to any Mexican restaurant and get guacamole, or they call it guacamole. It's simple ingredients, they're all readily available. It's a very easy thing to make. It's all about also how you like your guacamole. Guacamole can be extremely mild. It can be extremely spicy if you like it that way. It could be in between. It's really on your taste. So also when you go to a market, make sure you read the ingredients. There's a lot of guacamole out there that use sour cream, and I call that a filler, even though it's a real ingredient. I don't like stuff like that. It tastes horrible. Let's be realistic. If you're buying guacamole in a store, read the ingredients, make sure that all the ingredients I'm going through are in that packaging. If they are not, please buy them and make it. It's very simple to make. It takes you less than a half an hour to get everything ready. It takes you 2 minutes to put it together. So let's get started. And what you're going to need are 2 bowls, and I'm using my glass bowls here. I like working with glass bowls. It's very easy to work with. You can always see what's going on. And in one of my bowls, what we're going to do is we're going to have 2 different things. I'm going to make a mixture with the tomatoes, and in that mixture it's sort of like a pico de gallo. We're going to mix different ingredients in here and blend it together, and we're going to add it to the avocado. So speaking of avocados, and what is an avocado? Here is a whole avocado, which are readily available now, because during the summer is the big growing time for the avocados. They're fully in season. They range from about 75 cents to $1 something a piece, depending on where you get them. Unfortunately, because due to the drought this year, I saw some prices of avocados go up to $1, like 49, which is a little ridiculous. On the West Coast, they're much more readily available. On the East Coast, they're easier to get to and less expensive. In the middle of the country, it's a lot more expensive for stuff like this. You want to buy avocados. They can be green. They're also this color, which is a nice deep, dark purplish greenish color. Buy them and make sure they're hard. You don't want to go to a store unless you're in a rush, and you can buy 3 because you're going to need 3 excuse me, 3 ripe avocados. So if you buy avocados and they're not ripe, which means when you hit them with your thumb or you press them, see how I'm pressing this and it indents in. Why is that? It's because this has been ripened. This has been sitting in my kitchen for 3 to 4 days. A quick way to do it is you're going to get 3 avocados. If they're really not ripe, you get a brown paper bag. You put them in the brown paper bag, and then you roll them up in the bag and put them in a dark place for a couple days. They'll ripen up very quickly. You can see this one is not cut. I have my other 2 avocados. See the green flesh, and an avocado is a fruit, okay? It's not a vegetable, it's a fruit. But are they sweet? They're very creamy and mild, and you can use them in anything. One of my favorite foods in the morning is a turkey avocado omelet, and love that. Very important. When we're using avocados, we're also going to use the pit. And let me show you very quickly on how we get to that pit. So let me move some of these ingredients over and we'll get back to those. And what we're going to do is we're going to take my avocado, and you're going to be careful when you're using a knife to cut these. They're very easy to cut, and I start at the tip because you're going to go all the way around the fruit and cut. You spin, see how I'm spinning the avocado? That way it keeps it balanced and even. Instead of you trying to twist the knife around to make sure, try and cut it straight, don't remove it from there. And you take it out, and then you take each part of the avocado in half and you twist. See how it twisted? And open up, and there's that beautiful green flesh. Now, here's the pit. Now, you can't pull it out with your fingers. So what I like to do is you take what's this called, the butt of your knife, and you drop it in, grab the bottom of the avocado, be very slow and careful, and you twist, and it pops right out. And we're going to save this pit. So in order to get it off, just hit it on your knife, and comes right off. I'm going to put it to the side and I'm going to explain to you why we're keeping the pit. It's very important to keep the pits, especially if you're going to keep it overnight. Just really quickly, we put it in the guacamole after we're done. You stick it inside the guacamole and you cover it, and what it does is it prevents it from oxidizing. Avocados will oxidize or turn brown very, very quickly. It's like opening up fruit and letting it sit out all day. And if you don't put an acid on it or something to protect it, it'll start to get brown. What I also like to do to make it easy to get, you can use a spoon and scoop this out. What I like to do is cut it. So I'm just going to go quickly through the avocado to like that and across, and I'm making little squares with it. And we'll put this over here on this one, and we're going to do the other one. 1, 2, 3. It's really easy. You don't have to have great knife skills to do this. It's simple knife skills. And what I'm going to do is move my knife out of the way. We're going to bring our bowl over and our tomatoes over here. And we're going to put avocado down. And I'm going to get a nice spoon here. And what we're going to do now is add the ingredients to our tomatoes. Now what I have here are jalapenos. And jalapenos, they're once again available everywhere. Now you see there's two different colors. There are also different sizes. Why these? I grow these in my yard. Now what happens sometimes is the longer they stay on the vine, they'll turn red, but it's still a jalapeno. And with a jalapeno, they have seeds inside. And in these seeds is where you're going to get the heat, or what they call a Scoville, which a Scoville is a chart or a rate, a heat scale that they use for chilies. With a jalapeno, your Scoville rate is lower, but they can be spicy. So don't underestimate a jalapeno. You can get up to Cascabel chilies, which are extremely high Scoville scale, up to 50,000 on the Scoville scale. Habanero, which is really about 100,000. But when we're using chilies, couple things. You want to be careful when handling them. Why? I talked about oils before coming from herbs. Well, oils also come from chilies. And an easy thing to do, what people don't realize, is when you're touching a chili and you cut it open, the oils get in all over your finger. That's the heat, the spice. Now what you'll do sometimes is you'll touch your face and you won't realize it, and then all of a sudden in a few minutes your face starts burning. And it gets very uncomfortable. And then you rub your eye, and then your eye starts burning. And if you have a child and you touch your child, they get uncomfortable. I'm going to show you a neat little trick that I learned on how to try and keep your hands away from it. What I use, you take a fork, you take your chili, and you put your fork on your chili here, and you slice it across, just like this. Now, what that does, see what I did? I separated the flesh of the chili away from the seeds. See all these seeds? That's where the heat is. Now, you can keep the seeds if you like spicy. I'm not saying not to. I put a very small amount because I'm feeding, when I make my guacamole, I'm always feeding the family. So we have children there and people with sensitive stomachs, but they like their guacamole. So, I have to be cognizant, and you do too when you're making it. Once again, if you know your guests and know their tolerances, you can do whatever you want. Play on the safe side. Don't make it spicy. And what you do is you take the rest of the chili and you cut around it like this. And then now you have the butt end of it, and you can just slice that away and throw out, use the fork, and you don't get your fingers on it. And then you take your chili and you can dump it out and see with the chili. Now there's only one or two little seeds in there, and then you can cut it up. And that's exactly what I did. I'm going to show you as I diced it up very fine. I used the red one. I like red ones. I got a little more of a kick. I have 1 clove of garlic, and it's minced very, very fine. You're going to use that. Now, some people use regular onions. I like green onions in my guacamole. I cut up 3 These are really nice. They're thin. You can get really big ones. If you get really large green onions, use 2 of them. These are 3 thin green onions that are chopped. You slice it across with the onion. You also have the end here of the onion. You can use all of it. It has a lot of flavor. I cut them off about 1/4 of the way and then use 3/4 of the onion. I don't like to waste it. And it's a nice fine texture, and I like the flavor. It's not too overpowering. Then we're going to get to cilantro. Cilantro is a staple of Mexican food. Cilantro is also used in Thai food. If you've ever had lemongrass soup, it has cilantro in it, and lemongrass and chilies, and excellent, excellent. And we're going to just take about, I'm going to say it's about a tablespoon. You don't want a lot of cilantro. You want a little bit of cilantro. It's a nice flavor. It's considered, it's an herb. And some people like cilantro, some people don't. You don't have to put it in. I do. Traditionally, a lot of the guys use very minimal cilantro because they find it overpowers the guacamole. You just want it as an enhancement. And I wanted you to show you the cilantro. What you'd see here is it's the stem, and you have your leaves. Now, you can use the stem. You can cut the stem, or if you want, you pull off your leaves and stem, and then you can chop them up. And it's very cheap. You know, it's 70 cents for a bunch. It stays for about a week. You want to use it as soon as possible. It's more pungent. We're also going to use fresh lime juice. Okay, I have 1 lime that I've rolled. What I mean by rolled is limes usually when you get them are really hard. And what you need to do sometimes is you put it on your counter, or if you have your big cutting board or a cutting board, you put your palm on it and you roll it back and forth. What this does is breaks up the cell inside. It breaks up the flesh. It softens the skin. And then what enables you to do, it breaks up the juice. So now see how soft it is? And when you cut into it, the juice just starts flowing out of it. Some of the limes have been really tough. Try to make sure that you're not buying too tough of limes, because you're going to have to let them sit 4 or 5 days. No matter how much you roll them, sometimes you're not going to be able to break them down that much. Don't put them in the microwave to soften them up. I don't find that a very pleasant thing to do. You'll also heat up your juice, and you don't want to heat up your juice. What we're going to do now is we're going to mix the tomatoes with all of the small ingredients, which is we're going to have my garlic, the jalapeno. So I love jalapenos. And jalapenos are once again readily available. And I said this before, there's a great chili out there that's very popular now called chipotle chilies. And the chipotle chili is a smoked jalapeno. A lot of chilies are basically the same chilies, only they have one name when they're fresh and another name when they're dried. So there's a ton of them out there that you can find readily available and very, very easy to find. You can find a Hispanic grocery that sells tons of different chilies. They're great to get and they're inexpensive. Now we're going to put our green onion in the bowl with the tomatoes. Now, why am I doing it this way? Well, if you try, and what I like to do is mix it all together. It's easier to incorporate than if you put the flesh in and then put in all your ingredients and try to mix them all together. Sometimes they don't mix together well. They don't get, the flavor doesn't meld all together. You get a spot where you get, you'll get a bunch of cilantro here and a little too much lime juice there, and the garlic. You want to mix it up. I'm going to use half of the cilantro that I have in there. That's about a tablespoon. And for right now, I'm only going to use half a lime. Why is that? Well, you want to be careful with lime juice. Lime juice is very potent. Limes come from different parts of the world. Some limes are much sharper than others. Some limes have can be mistaken when you're using it, especially with guacamole, that somebody goes, oh, there's a lot of salt in here, and no, it was a really sort of a sour lime. So we're only going to use a half right now because we can adjust it later. You can't adjust backwards when you're using lime. Okay? Once you put too much lime in, you've got too much lime. It's the same with salt. It's very, very difficult to compensate for too much salt and too much lime. And the other part now is we're going to add salt. Now we're not going to add a lot of salt. I'm going to say about half a teaspoon to a teaspoon. That's it. You can adjust later. Like I said, it's better to use less and add than to use too much and then you're in trouble. And we're going to mix all of these ingredients together. Now, you've seen something very similar to this when you go to Mexican restaurants, and it's called pico de gallo. And it's basically a salsa. It's just a simple salsa with tomatoes, cilantro, chilies or no chilies, garlic, a little bit of salt and lime juice. And you see how we've mixed all those together. Now, it doesn't bulk together, and you want to get those flavors breaking out, because when you do want some flavor in your guacamole, it just makes really for a better finished product altogether. And in a separate bowl, we're gonna take our avocados, and you can just squeeze them out. See how they squeeze out? How simple that all that comes out? Why is that? Well, cutting it. If you can use a spoon. If it's easier for you to spoon it out, and fine. Also, make sure you get the end of the fruit, which is like a pit, that's at the tip. Usually I slice off the tips. Today I didn't. I just chose not to. And you just, once again, we'll just squeeze all these out. 1, 2, 3. Very easy to work with. The avocado. When you have a beautifully ripe avocado, this is the way to go. Now, you'll know when you don't have a ripe avocado. First of all, you won't be able to squeeze it out like this. It'll be very hard. There won't be any flavor. You'll really have basically lumpy fruit that it doesn't have any flavor, surrounded by lime juice, jalapenos, and basically you'll just taste the spice without the fruit. The avocado, when it's ripe, once I said, it's this creamy, nutty flavor. They're very good for you. You know, you slice them, you put them on a salad, you put them in sandwiches, burgers. A lot of people use them now. They're very popular. You'll notice a lot of the fast food chains are now starting to, during the summer, they used guacamole. I started cracking up. I thought it was really funny. But hey, I'm glad they're using it. It adds a little diversity. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take our flesh of the avocado and just break it down a little bit, because we're going to add in, because you know, you want it chunky, leave it chunky. Some people like it smooth. Some people like it chunky. I like it in between. So I broke it down a little bit, and I'm going to get a spatula out because it's going to be easier to get everything out of my bowl with a spatula. That way nothing's left. And we can put my spoon away, and we're going to add all of this to the guacamole. Or actually to the avocados, because now we're making guacamole. My mistake, me bad. So, all that out, just like this. And you know what's funny is I'm working from what we call a left-handed kitchen. I'm right-handed. Normally, if I could be able to, when I become the famous 2x4 chef, I'll be able to have a camera overhead, and a camera to the right, and a camera in the front, and a camera in the side. So sometimes if you don't see it, I apologize. And let me know. Say, hey, 2x4 chef, you know what, I missed that. Can you help me out here? And I'll be more than happy to. If you want to send me a note, ask me some questions. If you want the recipe, it's 2x4chef@att.net. Now what we're going to do is, I still like using my fork, because we're going to mix this up all together. And it's going to have a nice consistency where all the vegetables that I put in, the spices, the fruit, and guys, tomato is a fruit, all right? It's not a vegetable, it's a fruit. It grows on a tree, just like an avocado does, like a pineapple does, like an apple does, lemons. So most of your vegetables grow on the ground or underneath the soil. So when you have a tree that has anything hanging from it, normally it's a fruit or a berry. And that's, you know, a simple thing with any type of product. Now, I'm going to do is smooth it out a little bit here. gonna show you the finished product. Now, there we go. There's the guacamole. And I'm gonna have to taste it. See, you have some chunks in there and some of it's smooth. Oh, and I forgot to tell you how many tomatoes I use. You can use 2 to 3 good-sized plum tomatoes. Some people tell you to take the seeds out. I don't. Do not squeeze the seeds out. It adds, lets you mix the texture. I use, because they're vine-ripe tomatoes now, because it's the end of summer, I use the big vine-ripe tomatoes, one big one, and I cut it up and dice it up, and they're really, really good to use. There's a lot of flavor. So I'm going to try this now. And you know what? Needs a little more salt. Touch more lime juice. Boy, those jalapenos got a kick. The red ones have much more of a kick than the green ones. I get my spoon because I already tasted it with my fork, and I don't want to put the fork back in there because I'm serving it to people. I'm going to mix that back up. Just adjust it. I'm going to give it the ultimate test now. I'm going to get a tortilla chip out. I won't show you the brand, but I happen to love this brand. It started showing up in the store. Look at that. That's a killer tortilla chip that you buy in the store. And we're going to dig it, see that, how it holds up. It's perfect. Of course it's perfect. Why not? It's amazing. So try this simple recipe at home. And here's what we're going to do. I'll show you what I forgot. As I forgot to show you, you take your pits, you put your pits in, you push them down. Make sure you don't put them all three together on top of one another. Put them in, cover it, make sure the guac is covered, push it down off the sides, and then you take your plastic wrap. You can serve it right away if you'd like. I like to let it sit for about an hour, or you can let it sit overnight in the refrigerator. And take your piece of plastic and you lay it in and press it on top. You put a piece of plastic over and put it in the refrigerator and serve it right away. There you go. The 2x4 Chef Simple Amazing Guacamole. Once again, any questions? You want some suggestions? Need the recipe? That's 2x4 Chef at att.net. Take care, guys. Enjoy.